Alright guys, welcome to episode number 12 of Tardis Talk, in which we'll be recapping what happened in the Series 9 finale, Hellbent, an episode which seen the Doctor return to Gallifrey, sit down with a nice bowl of soup, overthrow Rassilon, shoot the General, break all the rules, and save our impossible girl, Clara Oswald. So Elle, what did you think of this season's finale?
I really have to admit, the first time I watched it, I think I misunderstood quite a lot, especially in the middle. But when I've just literally watched it back before we're recording now, and I absolutely loved it. When I went back and understood everything just fit into place. Fair enough, there was a few things that could have done with answering that I really wanted, but I think overall it was a really, really good episode.
It really was. I absolutely loved the episode. I think, like you said, everything kind of fits together, especially when you go back and you watch it a second time. But it didn't feel like a traditional finale. I kind of expected the Doctor to be going up against Rassilon as kind of the big enemy in this. And it really wasn't the case. It was kind of just tying up this hybrid storyline and kind of furthering the Doctor and Clara. It wasn't really too much about who he was going up against. It was more the story of the Doctor and Clara again.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it's probably the first time in a long time, especially with the finale, that we haven't had a big bad. I don't even think Rassilon was that bad, for all, he was only in it for, say, about 20 minutes, I'm guessing. And that was the thing with the trailer, it was really, really misleading. I thought either the Doctor was going to go on, a rampage type of thing, or he was going to be at, loggerheads with the Time Lords, and it wasn't that at all. So it was kind of good to get something different to what we expected. But at the same time, when you do go into, expecting, a lot of action and you don't get it, it's, a double-edged sword. It can work both ways.
Yeah, it really was. I think the trailers, like we mentioned, it was so misleading compared to what we thought was going to be, because we went into this thinking the Doctor was going to be hell-bent on taking down Rassilon, and it wasn't a case of that at all. He had everyone on his side. The General, who I thought was going to be someone else that was opposing him, he was also on his side. And we kind of spent last week thinking why the Time Lord's going up against the Doctor, and really, they weren't going up against him because they give him the option. They even kind of confessed that. They put him in the confession dial to find out about the hybrid, but all he had to do was just give up that information, let them know what he knew, and he would have been free to come out of it.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because it kind of reminds me of A Good Man Goes to War, and the only action there really was the Doctor kind of doing his battle with words, and it's something they bring up in the episode, and that was kind of the only piece of action we got, and the rest of it was it kind of switched gears once the start of Gallifrey and the Time Lords were out of the way. Like you say, it was more about Clara and the hybrid and things, so it was definitely wasn't what I was expecting. It's probably a lot better than I was expecting, but at the same time, I kind of wish we'd have got a more bad, I don't know, it kind of felt like that was missing from the episode, especially for a finale.
Yeah, I guess it kind of did really. I did expect we would have a big, a big baddie in there, but we didn't have anything like that. It was more just furthering how the Doctor was feeling and how he's hellbent on bringing Clara back, and he would go to absolutely any kind of odds to do that. I think it was weird to see him acting the way that he did, because it really wasn't the Doctor, and I'm sure there's a point where he changes his coat, and it was kind of like he wasn't going to be the Doctor, he was going back to the War Doctor or something else. So it was kind of strange the way that he was acting, because it's something that we've never seen the Doctor do before. I mean, he was mentioned in the episode to have broken all the rules, and he really was doing that. He was standing up to everyone. He picked up guns, which, he's done in the past, and he says that he never would. And we see him shoot the General, which it was so out of character. It was so weird to actually see that playing out.
Yeah, it was really strange. I don't think it was as strong as when David Tennant had his moment where he was going against the rules of time and things, but just that scene alone where he shoots man, it's kind of interesting because you go from near enough the very start of the episode where there's the barn scene, and if you remember in Listen, and Clara's got the figurine, which apparently you can see in the episode, I didn't see it, where he's kind of giving the motive, the man without the gun and things. And then not so long after, you go to the scene where he shoots someone, and it's definitely a different side. I think it kind of fits Capaldi a lot more, especially with those eyebrows.
It totally does. It felt like a different person, like a different regeneration of the Doctor. And it didn't feel like the Doctor. It was just like such a shock to see because we're so used to seeing him in a different capacity. And the way the episode started, he was very kind of calm and relaxed the way that he was dealing with them. And to kind of see Clara and bring out all these feelings and be told that, you know, he was only going to have those few moments with her before she had to go back. It was like that was what made it really kick in. And he was like, I can't lose her again. I've lost her once. I've waited 4.5 billion years to see her again. You can't take her away from us. So I can kind of get why he acted that way. And I think he kind of realised afterwards, and it led into sort of the way the episode ended, the fact that he knew because of Clara and his feelings for her and her feelings for him, then it pushed them to be more and more extreme to the fact that they would do things like this. And I guess he really didn't take any notice of what Clara told him in Face the Raven, where he was out for revenge and wanting to change things. He just couldn't accept it.
I think in this episode, he was kind of a little bit selfish, and kind of because he didn't want to go through grief and things, he was kind of pushing what he wanted on Clara. She wanted to die and like have her moment, but he couldn't come to the terms with it. And it was kind of interesting to see him taking the roles of kind of being really, really selfish. And I said to you, I found his like the memory loss thing, I thought that was like very cowardly, and it was kind of like him running away yet again.
It was like a cowardly way to go out with it. I think if he'd gone through with the initial plan, which was to wipe a memory without her knowing, then that really would have been like the cowardly kind of way. And we did see him questioned in this episode about whether he was banishing Rassilon to be cruel or cowardly, which is something that he said he would never do. It was part of his promise to himself when he became the Doctor. So it was strange like that.
I think the perfect explanation for all of this, it was actually at the very, very start of the episode when the Doctor's pulling up to the diner and you've got this sign outside and it says, no matter where you go, there you are. And I really wanted to know, I didn't know if it was like a famous line or anything, so I kind of wanted some like explanation. And apparently the meaning behind the quote is, no matter where life takes you, you still have a sense of self-awareness. You are still you. You must not change yourself or become manipulated into becoming something or someone that goes against you and your beliefs. You shouldn't worry or live by rules and standards. You should enjoy life and live it to the full, no matter what life throws at you. In life, there are going to be times of hardship and struggle in which you may mentally go to places you have never been before. Therefore, it is okay. You are still you underneath it all. You must have faith to believe in yourself, to think that things can only go better and you have more in life to live for. And I think that's like a really, really good like example of like the entire episode and like the journey the Doctor goes on.
It is, like, I think that really sums it up really well. I'm glad you brought that up because it does sum up the episode and the kind of journey of the Doctor, and no matter what he goes on, it shouldn't really change him. And I think that is one of the things that he comes to realise at the end of the episode, that he should still be him at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's a constant struggle with the Doctor. Like, he has these like really testing times, but he kind of always gets his moral compass like back on track. And I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to see like a light-hearted Doctor again. And if the trailer for next episode, the Christmas one's anything to go by, I think we're going to have a bit more jovial Doctor and not so much heavy brows and things.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is probably going to be a Christmas special where it takes it a bit more relaxed and we have like a little bit of fun. I think it'll be interesting to see the way that the Doctor plays with River in this, like being the Doctor that we've currently got, because we haven't really seen him in that sense. He's always been more of an uptight Doctor. He doesn't hug. Well, that's kind of changed now. So like things have been a little bit more relaxed, and the way the episode ended, it ended on like quite a positive note, and he seemed quite happy and content. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it kind of transitions into the Christmas special, and I think we will get like a bit more of a relaxed and happy, joyful Doctor to give with this like Christmas Day special.
I think it's like the perfect time as well, with it being Christmas. He's kind of been a Scrooge for the past two series, and what better character than River to kind of like bring him out of that stage. And fingers crossed he's going to be a much nicer Doctor, and who knows, maybe we'll get a surprise regeneration.
Maybe, I don't know. I think we'll probably see him for another season at least. And especially if we do see Clara return, I think we'll see interaction with him as the Doctor. So I think that's probably going to be coming up. But to be honest, I would probably be open to it.
I think that's the thing with me. I've enjoyed Peter Capaldi, but I think I'm ready for something fresh. I think, I don't know, like I need a new dynamic. Fair enough, he's got the new Sonic again, but I kind of need a little bit more. So either he's going to have to become a lot more jolly or I need a new Doctor.
Yeah, I get where you come from on this. I think it's probably the same for me as well. I think next season, now we've got Clara's story done and she's moved on, then this is going to be him as the focal point in the series, and it's really going to allow it to kind of get to grips with Capaldi as the Doctor and see what we think of him when he's by himself and he hasn't got Clara to kind of support him.
Yeah, I know Capaldi can be a great actor. I just kind of want him to be utilised right and, like you say, be a lot more happy and have some fun adventures for once.
Yeah, just relax and like lay his hair down. So that kind of covers our thoughts on the episode in general. Moving into this week's talking points, the first one, we had a big reveal in the episode where we found out that Time Lords can regenerate between genders and also ethnicity. So what did you make on this, Al?
I thought it was like a really good point to bring up, and from memory serving me right, I can't remember the last time. Fair enough, we've got Missy, but we've never seen the regeneration sequence, and I don't remember the last time somebody changed like skin colour or anything. So it was good to finally get something like that. I don't think, because it was on such a smallish character, I don't think it did a great deal, but it sent that message out that anyone can regenerate. And for me, the way I took it, I think it was maybe foreshadowing that we're going to see something with Missy. I think that's probably where we're going to go at some point. And there was a lot of hints for Missy throughout the episode, so I think that's what I took from it.
Yeah, I thought it was like really cool. It does kind of hint towards Missy as well, because we always thought when we watched the Night of the Doctor show with Paul McGann that the regeneration for Missy was down to the Sisterhood of Karn and that they had steered it in that certain direction. But it was kind of cool to see this in the episode itself, where it sets it out there now as like part of the show that Time Lords can regenerate between genders, and I thought that was really cool. It's going to be interesting to see if we get that sort of backstory to Missy and find out her regeneration to it. But maybe because they've done this, it kind of explains that forward and we don't have to go back and see Missy's regeneration because there's nothing really extra to it. It is just a normal regeneration.
I kind of loved how it was kind of understated as well about the whole thing. It wasn't made like a huge deal of, kind of like, I don't think we are, but I'm guessing that the public probably would if it was, say, it was the Doctor or something. But because it was a smaller character, it was kind of like the way they've done with Clara bringing her in as the Doctor. It was kind of like another step towards that, I think, personally. And it was kind of like a funny moment because she was like, God, how do you cope with ego when she was a man? So it was kind of one of the light-hearted moments of the entire episode.
It was really cool to see the reaction to it as well. I think what it's kind of done is, it puts it out there that there could be a point in the future now where there really is a big chance that we'll see the Doctor regenerate into a woman and see a woman cast in that role. I think that'd be really cool. Like, especially seeing Clara this season, I think that's really opened up a lot of people's eyes to how good a female Doctor could actually be.
It's definitely funny, and we brought it up like earlier in the series that because of the way Clara's been and things, I think people are definitely a lot more open to it. I remember even, say, last year, towards the start of the year, people were very much still opposed to it, and now because of things with Clara and like moments like this, people aren't as bad, and I've actually seen like a lot more people saying, oh, we wouldn't mind like a female Doctor.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, Clara's done such a good job of kind of being the Doctor this season because she's acted so much like him. It gives you an idea of what a female Doctor would be. And to be honest, nothing different to the Doctor himself. Like, I don't think it really makes too much difference. It's all down to the person that's playing it. And I think Clara's done such a good job of acting in that kind of role. It just makes you realise, it doesn't matter if the Doctor's a man or a woman. Like, whoever's playing it, if they're playing it as well as Clara has or as Capaldi has, it doesn't matter. We're going to love the Doctor for just being the Doctor in the first place.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely goes after the actor, and I think that's the thing, like, because I enjoyed Clara so much, she overshadowed the Doctor, and I much preferred Clara in the end.
I think I probably agree with you on that. I think Clara has been like the big focal point of the season, and for me, she's been like the starring role. And kind of sticking with Clara and the Doctor, it brings up the question that we've been asking for a while now: who is the hybrid? Should have been answered in the episode, and I think it kind of was, because we had the Doctor claiming to know who the hybrid was to the Time Lords, and it wasn't until he went to the end of the universe and he met up with Ashildr, and she says it was maybe time to tell the truth about the hybrid. And what she kind of said in that part of the episode was maybe the prophecy wasn't entirely correct in that the hybrid was like this merging of two warrior races. Maybe the hybrid was two warrior races, but it was actually two people as opposed to one. So we had the Doctor being a Time Lord, and then Clara from Earth as a human. Do you think this is the hybrid? Because this was kind of my take on it. I think this is what I'm going with. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it shows that the prophecy saying that you would do everything to heal his heart, I think that kind of does reference the Doctor himself. But I think Clara also plays a big part in that. So I think together, they are the hybrid for me.
I think this is probably one of the only faults, like, for the entire episode. I think this is kind of where, like, I got confused and misunderstood a few things. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of, like, hoping to God that that wasn't the end of the hybrid thing. I think it was far too weak. I think they could have done a lot better. Even if the judges brought in a monster or something that was two races or whatever, I think it's far too simple for me for it to be the Doctor because he's going to destroy Gallifrey or whatever because of what happened to Clara. Mm-hmm. Because of the extremes of the Doctor and Clara. Because, I don't know, like, if it was a hybrid, I kind of think Clara and the Doctor, and at the end, they're almost too alike, so I wouldn't really class them as a hybrid. I wouldn't class Ashildr as a hybrid. I think, like, this is where, like, it started getting really bad because, like, I started developing yet another theory, like, before the series went out, and there was a lot of talk of things like the Cloister Wars, and there was a lot of references to Missy and things that have been brought up before, like the Minister of War, there was the President's daughter and things, and I kind of think we're going to go back to that moment of the Cloister Wars, which is in the Doctor's past, and I think we're going to get some more things about the hybrid back then, as opposed to that was the moment about the hybrid. I think there's a lot more they could play with, as opposed to saying it was the Doctor and Clara.
Yeah, I get where you come from. That I think it could be a case where next season everyone thinks maybe the hybrid's been revealed, but it could then come back into it, and it's kind of a surprise. For me, though, I think I kind of like this idea of the Doctor and Clara making up the hybrid, because we did see them kind of pushing each other to all these extremes, to the fact that the Doctor would kind of risk fracturing the whole of the universe and time itself by trying to save Clara, when I think it said her death was an established point in time, so it was an event that had already taken place and he couldn't go back and change that. So the Doctor going to that lengths, knowing like the possible cost could be the end of everything, he was willing to do that. And to me, seeing them at the end of the episode where they seem to be standing in the ruins of Gallifrey, that kind of goes together with the prophecy of what we heard, where it says that the hybrid would stand in the ruins of Gallifrey. So I thought that made sense, at least in terms of the Doctor standing there. I think if I was to choose one, I would say the Doctor is the hybrid. But I just like the idea of the two of them together being these two different races that have come together to form the hybrid.
I think that's the thing. I think it kind of like matches too closely to the prophecy, so I kind of think it's probably like a red herring, and I do think we'll probably get something next year. I think for me, I kind of thought it'd maybe be more the Doctor and Missy if it was going to be two people, because you've kind of got like Missy, this big evil, and as Ashildr says, the lover of chaos, and she wants the Doctor to love the chaos, but he's very much on the opposite end. So I kind of think maybe those are the hybrid, and maybe they'll come together for something next series, and maybe that'll be the hybrid.
Yeah. I think we'll see something from Missy. I think my take on it with the Shield I mentioned was, it was trying to close off maybe that part of the story, why Clara and the Doctor come together in the first place. And that was Missy that had kind of put this whole plan in action, which it's kind of strange because it then says that Missy's somehow been able to like see in the future, see this prophecy and work it all out and kind of put it in place. So maybe she is the person behind the prophecy in the first place to actually get it started and pair up the Doctor and Clara if they are to become the hybrid, just because they would see how much they would kind of push each other, and that would cause ultimately the end of Gallifrey.
I think this is like one of my major pet peeves, and it's yet another thing that we've brought up constantly. Moffat likes to put in these like major like plot holes, and there'll be something that's missing. So I kind of think if we're going to get any sort of answer, it'll probably be when he does finally decide to like hang up his boots, and I think it's going to be something that niggles us till the end of time until he does decide to go. I don't think it's going to be something he's just going to, I don't know, like I think there should either be a lot more to it or he should leave it until he's going to leave.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be the case as well. I think when he does decide to leave, it'll be like you mentioned before about Russell T Davies and how he kind of tied up all the little things with all his different characters. And I think when Moffat leaves, it'll be the same kind of thing. And anything that we do get where it's something that's outstanding, it hasn't been answered, even things with Clara where we mightn't have an answer for it yet, I think he might bring her back into it for that final episode of his, just to kind of wrap things up.
Another example for me as well was like there was the band sequence where we had the lady, which yet again we were kind of assuming could that be his mother, and she says, "What are you doing up there? That's supposed to be for my two boys," or something. And then you've got all those people, and I was thinking, oh, is that the Doctor's family? And it like really, really winds me up the more I think about it, because it's like, well, why don't you acknowledge who they are?
I think that could be a case where like he maybe does that in the future and he goes back to let me know who those people are. I think it could be, I don't know if it would maybe be his family or like a kind of orphanage where the boys go and she looks after them.
Yeah, I definitely think it could be something like that. It's just like really winds me up when, like you say, you don't have that stamp on it and you're just left to assume, because like I do, you can come up with like 1,000 theories and still not have an answer.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we'll get an answer to that in the future, but I think for the time being, a lot of people are speculating it could be his mother. I think maybe it is something like that. Was it the same character that we're seeing in The End of Time as well?
I think that's the thing, because it was a different actress. Like, you still left to assume. I'm hoping it wasn't, because I much preferred your Clara theory over some random woman.
Yeah, well, I think so. It was just like the Clara thing now, knowing that she doesn't age, it kind of rules her out for that. But we did have them named the same in the cast list. So it made me think maybe this is the same person. But again, we haven't got an answer for it.
Fingers crossed we do get something, but I think it'll probably be like the Russell T Davies thing, and we never really will find out, and it's just going to be one of the mysteries of Doctor Who.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get an answer further down the line. But kind of moving on to the next talking point and the ending itself, we found out that because the Doctor and Clara had been pushing each other to all these extremes, they decided that the only kind of way out of this was for one of them to wipe the memory. And the Doctor's plan to do that to Clara, it kind of backfired when she watched and seen what he was saying to Ashildr. So she kind of told him that she'd reverse the polarity and that if he used it, it would wipe his own memory. And I like the fact that they decided they were going to do this together, just like they'd done everything else. And it was kind of 50-50 as to who actually got the mind wiped. What was your take on it? Did you like this?
I was like on the fence with this, because of a lot of it, like even like the Doctor says, it kind of reminds him of what he did with Donna. So on that spectrum of things, I didn't like it too much, but at the same time, because the Doctor was on the receiving end, it made Clara more Doctor-like, so I didn't mind it too much. I think they probably could have thought of something better to put that across, but at the same time, it was still really good. And I stupidly, because I didn't understand, I thought the Doctor was dying at one point. I didn't realise it was just his mind being rewritten or whatever, and I started to panic, and then at the same time, I really enjoyed it, and I don't know, like, it let Clara live, and it wasn't too over the top. It was pretty simple, and it was kind of done really well, because when you start the episode, you think, oh God, either it's an echo of Clara or a mind's been wiped, and then when you finally get to the end and it's the Doctor, it was all really done well. It was just like, in a sense, it was a bit too similar to things we have had before.
Yeah, it was quite similar to the Donna stuff and wiping her memory. But I don't know, I kind of like this. I don't blame you for thinking the Doctor was dying, because I totally thought that as well. Like, I was so caught up in the moments, in the scenes, because like they do such a good job when they're set together. And it's like, you really get into it. And I was like, hang on a second, is he dying? Because it looked like he was dying the way he collapsed to the floor. And I was like, but they're just wiping his memory? Like, that shouldn't hurt. What's going on? Like, I was kind of lost in that moment. But then when I realised it was just the memory wipe, and that kind of explained it, I thought it was quite cool. I like the fact that, you know, for once, the Doctor's the one that's having to forget, which he doesn't really, I guess, by the end of the episode, because it comes back to him a little bit. So I thought it was kind of cool. I like the fact that Clara keeps the memory. And we talked about this last week about Face the Raven, and how Clara's death was really beautifully done, and we both really liked it. I was really worried if they did save her, it would kind of ruin that. But the way that they've done this, extracting her with like a heartbeat left or so, or half a heartbeat left, it didn't really change that, so that still kind of stands. And we've got Clara now living and able to go on all these adventures with her own Tardis. It's just like such a cool way to do it. And I think of all the endings, I don't think I could have come up with a better one. I think this is like the perfect ending to have.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's funny because for all that she kind of does survive, the ending still stands because, well, we know it does because if Clara still didn't die, then Ashildr wouldn't be at the very end of the universe and things. So we still know at some point she's going to hang up her boots and she will go back to Gallifrey and back to the Trap Street. So it's still done really well. It diminishes it, but not enough to like take away like how beautiful it was.
Yeah, well, I get that. I think like it does take away a little from it, but it still stands, and I think that's kind of what I'm happy with. I'm glad he didn't go back and change that because he could have kind of changed time itself and took them back to like a moment before then where it changes everything. So I was really happy with that. Do you think we'll see Clara return at this point because she's got her own Tardis? She can pop around anywhere. Is it going to happen? I think it must in the future. Maybe not too quickly, but I think down the line, maybe Moffat's last episode, like mentioned, I could definitely see Clara reappearing.
See, I think this is a funny thing, and like I've spoke to you since the episode and things, and because it's strange, like how it was the diner that was her TARDIS, and obviously that links back to the Impossible Astronaut and things like that, and even just arriving in Nevada and things. It's really strange, and that's another thing. Things like that need answering. You can't just do something like that to wind us up because that, well, apart from being really evil, it's really confusing. And fair enough, I don't think we need the Echo thing solving as much now because we know that she's whizzing around the universe and things. That kind of, I wouldn't say the appeal's gone, but it's kind of like gone to the back of my mind because she kind of is the Doctor now, and I really enjoyed it. I definitely think, I think we're going to see her. I said to you, I think we possibly see her in one or two episodes like next series because there are things that need answering, kind of like, she says something to the Doctor and we don't know what the hell she says. And I kind of want to know because I can't live knowing that she said something really, really important that's possibly linked to the hybrid and we don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, that is the thing. That's one of the big questions coming out of it. What did Clara say at the Doctor? Because we don't know, and he doesn't even know. Maybe it could be in a song. That was the only thing that we kind of got from it. But again, we don't know what was said, unless it was maybe what you put on the blackboard where it says from a B Doctor. That's all I could kind of come up with it. Aside from that, anything else is just a guess. But I could definitely see maybe a flashback to that moment where he realises what Clara said to him, and it maybe helps him make a decision in the future.
The only thing like I could possibly think is because we know that Clara goes to these moments where the Doctor's in danger or supposed to die. Maybe she went to Nevada and she observes the 11th Doctor being shot and things. That's the only thing I can like assume. But other than that, it could be literally like anything.
Well, you had quite a cool theory on that, where you picked up a screenshot which maybe showed her in the past.
Yeah, like in the Impossible Astronaut, in the distance when the Doctor does get shot, there's a little, I think it's a cabin. Obviously, we don't know that Clara's TARDIS is going to stick as a diner. It could be possibly anything. But you can see like a silhouette in the background, like observing the whole thing. So maybe that's Clara and maybe it's like a little Easter egg. Another kind of thing like I picked up on, and it was really clutching at straws because we know Rivers in the Christmas episode is when Clara kind of tries to like jog the Doctor's memory about what she told him. She mentions songs and things, and even in the episode, like it looked like Clara had like a blue diary. So maybe Clara, knowing that she was going to go or die or whatever, maybe she was kind of like nudging the Doctor to go find River, and maybe that's why she went to Nevada. God knows, it could be a wild guess, but it's something.
Yeah, maybe it could be like one of them subtle hints where you mention song and it kind of just makes him think of River Song. He sees the diary and then he thinks of that. So I think that'd be quite cool. It'd be really cool if the fact that Moffat had like planned all this in advance and he knew like in the future that they'd have someone in this moment that would be going back to watch it. So I think that's quite cool. I don't know if we'll ever get an answer to it. I think it's quite good that they've just left it out there for fans to kind of explore and look into. I like the fact that we do get some questions like that where it's left for us to speculate on instead of giving them all answers. So I can kind of live with that. It's a bit strange how being like in the TARDIS in Nevada and having the diner because it was linked to Rory and Amy and it wasn't linked to Clara, so I didn't really get why she was there and why it was the diner. Do you think maybe that was the diner in the Impossible Astronaut? Could that have been Clara's diner then, what the Doctor was in?
I think that's the thing, like, initially when I watched it the first time, I thought, maybe it's just, she's just copied that for whatever reason. But then when she's talking to the Doctor and he says, oh, it's actually moved, then I was thinking, oh, well, maybe it is. And that kind of linked back to like the impossible astronaut theory, and maybe she was looking over the Doctor. Other than that, I literally have no clue. And I really do hope it gets answered, because it's kind of going to be one of the last Clara questions that I'll have. And I'll still enjoy like her arc, but I'll always want answers.
Yeah, I think that is one of the things. I don't know if we'll ever get an answer to it. Maybe if they go back to it, we can get something. But I was kind of wanting them to just like pop over the hill and just see if there was another diner there, just to answer it for me. Just put it out there. But yeah, I think it'd be quite cool. I think we'll definitely see Clara return at some point. We could even see her kind of pop up in the Coal Hill School show now that we know that she is alive. And even if she doesn't have a heartbeat, she is alive, which has got a TARDIS, so she could easily pop into that. I think that would be quite cool. I would love to see a spin-off with her and Ashildr, just like travelling around. I think that would be a good spin-off show. But again, I don't really know if we'll get that. I guess we could probably see some audiobooks or something along those lines where it tells the stories of Clara and Ashildr, because I know they have just released a book about Ashildr and the kind of adventures that she gets up to.
See, I didn't even know that, and now I feel inadequate. But I definitely agree. I think even just an audio book, I think I'd definitely go out and get that, because I want to know kind of what they're going to experience. And it's interesting because, like I was saying to you, one of my slight theories was in some of the earlier episodes, Ashildr's talking about someone's told her a lot about the Doctor, and she's got, and even in Face the Raven, she talks about Clara as if she's got multiple encounters with Clara. So maybe Clara and Ashildr, maybe they're go off and meet the younger Ashildr and things. I kind of think that's going to be where Ashildr's got some of those memories with the Doctor, and maybe some of those diaries are full of memories and things. Like, we know that some of the pages were ripped out. Maybe that those were stories about Clara that Ashildr didn't want the Doctor to see or something.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you mentioned this, I think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe Clara felt kind of guilty that Ashildr had waited all this time by herself, so she'd kind of pop back now and again throughout her timeline to see Ashildr. And that explains the whole conversations as opposed to conversation that Ashildr mentions having with Clara. It also explains why the Doctor had been asking Ashildr, how do you know so much about us? Because it then says, you know, these conversations with Clara, that's how she's learned about the Doctor and how he likes to run off and things. I think all that made sense, especially the diaries ripping out the pages. She said it was because they were like things that were so bad she didn't want to relive them. But I think really those could be the conversations that she says she reread from Clara, where she's popped into her timeline and she's spent that time with her, but she's obviously kept them pages from the Doctor so he doesn't actually see them.
I think that's like the great thing about Ashildr and Clara, that there's so many things they could do. Like, Ashildr at one point was saying she's going to round up like all the people that Doctor's left behind. Maybe that's something her and Clara could do. It's literally like endless, and I think it'd be a much better spin-off than Class could be. It's got a lot more potential. And like I said to you, it sounds really bad, but I think at the moment I'd much rather see the adventures of Clara and Ashildr than Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. I know it's really, really bad, but I just think they've done such a great job with those two characters that I'm kind of more invested in them in the minute.
Well, I don't blame you at all. I think Clara's the one that's had all this like backstory and everything else. She's the one that we've become invested in over these last couple of seasons. And for that reason, that's why I kind of want to see more of Clara. And I would love to see this spin-off show. I would totally prefer to see it opposed to Class. I think it'll be much better than that. There's so much more that you could do with it. And just seeing Clara the way that she's acted like the Doctor, I want to see more of that. So I'm totally open to that. In regards to Clara and the TARDIS that she's got, I thought one cool theory that I kind of thought up was last week we talked about when we're seeing the flashback in the name of the Doctor, I think it was, and Clara went into the time stream. And then she met up with the first Doctor and she told him, don't take that TARDIS, take this one. Navigation's knackered, but you'll have much more fun with it. And at the time, I thought, like, when we spoke last week, maybe we'd see Time Lord Clara pop up in this week's episode, but we didn't get that. And it got me thinking after it, you know, what happened to that Clara on Gallifrey, the Time Lord version that interacted with the first Doctor? And I thought, maybe there wasn't one to begin with. Maybe the Clara that we're seeing in that flashback was actually Clara. So maybe she'd return to Gallifrey to go ahead and face the Raven, knowing that her end was set and she would eventually one day have to face it. But in doing so, she didn't want to just leave her TARDIS because she'd spent however long travelling it. So for that reason, it kind of explained to me why she would tell the first Doctor not to take that TARDIS, take this one, because she knows all about it. And it kind of passed it back to him when he picked it for her.
I definitely, like, when you told me the theory, I think it's just a really, really good theory. The only thing, like, I do have, like, that kind of counteract it is, like, the Clara and the Dalek death. Like, I said to you when you said, oh, well, maybe when the Victorian Clara died, maybe they couldn't pick up a pulse because obviously she doesn't have one and things, but I don't know, like, I really, really like that. And I think they kind of missed the chance having, like, the Time Lord Clara.
But what I would say is, like, all them splinter Claras did exist. It was just that one flashback. We thought it was a splinter, but that was actually Clara.
I think you're just trying to, like, steal my limelight of, like, these really good theories.
Well, I'm trying. I don't know if I'll get there. I'm on the way, though.
I think the only other theory I had about Time Lord Clara was, I know I said to you after last week's podcast, which is kind of silly because we could have used it, was maybe the woman in the barn was Clara, like the Time Lord Clara, and maybe she was kind of looking out for the Doctor. I know it kind of sounds silly, like out of sync, but...
Yeah. It makes sense, though, because if you think of Clara as a teacher looking after all the children, then it kind of fits. It's her role.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame because I think they could have done a lot more with, like, the echoes and things, but I think they've definitely done a really good job having this. I can't decide if she's indestructible or anything because obviously she has a specific location where she has to die.
Yeah.
But I can't follow it. I really, really like it, and she's kind of dead but alive.
Well, it begs that question, what if, like, something happened to her, like, physically, like she damaged herself? She wouldn't be in that same position when she goes back to face the Raven. So it's a bit odd that way. We don't know quite how it works. Maybe it's like Captain Jack where, he just comes back to life and he just sort of forms again, I guess. But it's kind of a weird one. I think, I'm just interested to see where it goes. I think there's more you can tell with Clara, and I would love to see more from her.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Clara's story is done. I think there's definitely a lot more they could do, whether it's on screen or, like you say, in audiobooks. I definitely think there's a lot more they can do with that character.
Absolutely. So I guess that kind of covers the episode itself. It just kind of leaves me now thinking, what happens next season? What do you see happening next? Because it's kind of a reset point now. The Doctor's got his sonic screwdriver back. He's back in the Tardis. He's travelling alone. He can pick up a new companion. Do you think we'll see something else continue from what we've seen, or do you think it'll go in a fresh direction now?
I think that's the thing. There is still, like, a few unanswered questions. Like, we've got Missy. We don't know where the hell she's gone. I think now that Gallifrey is there and he can go back and he's kind of like the ruler, I think we're going to see a lot more of Gallifrey. I don't know, because I don't think we should, like we said earlier, and I don't think we should see a darker Doctor. I think we should see much more jovial Doctor. I think it's going to depend, like, how the series is going to play out, whether we're going to get specials or a full series or split in half. I think that's going to determine the type of Doctor we're going to have next series.
Yeah, I think so. I think that'll kind of determine it. I hope it is kind of two-parters that we're getting a full season, because I think it's just led to such a good season this year. Having those stories told across 2 episodes, it's just allowed them to put so much more time into it and really tell the story instead of rushing it. So I really hope that kind of happens the same next time around.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we've had fair enough, we've had, like, a few wobbles with, like, Sleep No More and things, but we've had some really, really blockbuster episodes, and possibly some of the best from the entire revival series. So fingers crossed we'll work to that kind of, like, regime again, and I hope we kind of get a few more 2-parters, because, like you said, they definitely bring a lot more to the series.
Yeah, they really do. So I guess that kind of covers pretty much everything. We did get 2 quick glimpses of this year's Christmas special, which we see Greg Davies from The In-Betweeners and Matt Lucas from Little Britain. So they're going to be guest starring, along with the return of River Song. What did you think of the preview? Are you looking forward to the Christmas episode?
Like, I know I've just said, like, I want a much jovial Doctor, but
You're going to go back on it, aren't you?
Yeah, just for Christmas, because it's Christmas and it's supposed to be happy. But, like, last year we had, like, the whole time crabs and things, and the episode before that we had, like, the Matt Smith departure. And I kind of think, because this one looks a bit more of a comedy thing, I don't think I'm, like, fully invested in wanting to see it. I wanted something a bit more, I don't know. And I think it's this whole thing with the robots again. We've seen it done mountains of times, and I think the only difference with this one is it's got no head.
Well, that is the thing with it. I think in terms of the monsters, the robots, it always kind of puts us off, because you don't get that interaction you do with, like, an actual person playing the role. I mean, we've got Greg Davies' head. Maybe that'll make a bit of a difference. But I don't know, for that reason, the monsters have kind of put me off a little bit. I think it will be a kind of happy episode, so it'll be like a bit of a feel-good one, just to counteract EastEnders, because that's always terribly depressing on Christmas. So I think it'll be kind of, like you mentioned before, like an upbeat, happier Doctor, nice and jolly for Christmas. But I don't know how long that'll last. I don't think it's Capaldi's thing.
I think the thing is we've got some brilliant actors in there, like you said, Greg Davis, we've got Matt Lucas, we've got River Song. I hope we get a bit more mystery with River Song. I know, like, apparently we're supposed to get a much more, like, action River, and there's not going to be all that much mystery there, but even if it's just in the final moments, like, we get River doing her whole spoilers thing and teasing the Doctor about something, that'll make the whole entire episode worthwhile. I just need... I think I'm, like, some sort of addict when it comes to theories and things. Like, I just want something just to leave me hang on until it comes back on again.
Well, you and me both. I think, like, when it comes to it, if she just drops something, like anything that we can kind of speculate on, I think it'd be really cool. And it could be that they do that, they kind of have River give some kind of spoiler, and then that leads into the next season and the Doctor looking out for something that maybe she said. So I think that'd be quite cool. I'm just looking forward to the interaction between her and Capaldi, because, like, never seen the two together. I've got a feeling these two are going to, like, really go well. And I know, like, David Tennant and Matt Smith especially, he'd actually come out and he said, like, he was really, like, disappointed to see River coming back, because he was quite protective of her, because she was, like, his husband. It's like he doesn't want to share her with Capaldi. And I don't know, I think they'll work really well together, but I can see why. I think River and, like, the 11th Doctor, I think they have a special thing. But at the same time, I love River so much. Like, I'm happy she's back.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at them, they seem to have this instant chemistry, and I hope it's something that plays throughout the entire episode. And I know we're going to talk a lot more about River, because we're going to do, like, yet another special just before Christmas, but I can't wait to see what else River's got in store. I know we've seen, like I say, we've seen mystery from her, we've seen action. I kind of want to see, like, how she's going to deal with this, like, grumpy Doctor, and hopefully she can bring out his softer side.
I think so. I think if anyone can, River can. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. It'll be interesting to watch. And like you said, we're going to do a River Song special, so make sure to check out for that. But I guess that kind of covers our thoughts on the finale itself and a look at the Christmas special. So make sure to get involved and let us know your thoughts on the episode, as well as what you thought of this season as a whole. Because like we've just said, we think it's probably been one of the best seasons that we've seen for a while. The episodes this year have been absolutely amazing, especially the two-parters, aside from Sleep No More. But I think... overall, as a whole, I think it's been an amazing season. So let us know your thoughts in the comments, or get in touch with us via Twitter at Tardis_talk. So we look forward to hearing your thoughts. But until next time.
See you later.